Hello, my nieces. Hello, my nephews. And hello, my extended twin flame family. It's me, your twin flame auntie. And I'm here to put you in timeout from the 5D and bring you back to Earth. I don't have all the answers, but I do have questions and I do have thoughts. And your auntie certainly has a lot of opinions. On this channel, we are breaking free from the fantasy romance and taking a more philosophical and balanced lens to the twin flame journey. As divine feminines, we are constantly comparing notes with each other. We're in forums, we're in the comment section. And while this is going on, it seems that the masculines are completely oblivious to this connection. I have a question, and I don't think it's going to be a popular one. What if we were the divine masculine in another relationship? What if we were the runner and had a divine feminine who is also in the comment section asking questions about us? What if we were in some sort of twin flame triangle and we didn't even know it? I know that the popular opinion is that you only have one twin flame, but who says? Who gets to be the final authority? Maybe there's someone out there having paranormal experiences, signs, and synchronicities while their world is crumbling and they're rebuilding themselves. And it's revolving around the thought of us while we are feeling absolutely nothing. I bring this up because when the pandemic was very new, I received a Facebook message from a man that I knew in my childhood, preteen, and my teenage years. And, around this time, boys and girls are starting to go out with each other and form relationships. And I was never really included in this culture at school. So I hung out with a neighborhood boy who lived next door to my grandparents. And when I say hung out, it started out as kids playing, and then one day we were kissing in his family pool. And I guess it was kind of a light version of a relationship because I just saw him whenever I was at my grandparents' house, which was in another town. One day, I was a teen, and I just got the strong desire to stop hanging out with him. I didn't put much thought into it. It was just an intuition. It wasn't mean. I didn't have negative thoughts about him. I just no longer wanted to hang out with him. So I guess you could say I was a runner in this type of situation. Now, looking back, I think that as a teenager, maybe I knew intuitively that it could escalate to a more physical level, which I certainly didn't want, but I couldn't process that at the time. And I did find out many years later that he went down a path of partying a lot and hanging out with the wrong crowd and getting into trouble. So that could have also been it. Maybe intuitively, I knew that was around the corner. So during the pandemic, I had not seen him in decades. He wrote to me. We had a couple of very pleasant exchanges on Facebook, and I didn't think a whole lot of it, to be honest. It was good to hear from him. We wrote comments on a couple posts. No big deal. It was like, cool. It's him, but I didn't think much of it. But then I got a message that he would be in my area. He said, I'm going to be in your area tomorrow. Pick a place to go out to eat. Now, I was floored. I had not seen this person in a lifetime, and he was never really on my mind throughout the years. And we were in a pandemic, so I didn't really think that it was appropriate. I wasn't going out to eat. I was staying home and sheltering in place and working from home. So I thanked him and I told him I was busy. And to be honest, again, he just had not been on my mind. I couldn't remember the last time I had even thought about him. Also, I don't ever remember telling him where I lived. So there was that as well. So he wrote back to me and he said, it seems you misread my intentions, which really rubbed me the wrong way. And he wrote this long letter about how much I meant to him, how significant I was to him. Also, he had lost some family members. So, of course, I was very sensitive to that. But it didn't change the fact that he was a stranger on the internet. I had not seen him or kept in touch with him in 35 years. I made a choice to stop hanging out with him, and he just wasn't someone that ever popped into my mind. So I should also mention, before anyone feels bad for him, he was married. Yep, he was married. So he's writing to me. He's married. There's no mention of his wife on his Facebook page. But, us twin flames, we are very good cyber sleuths. And I, would see her name mentioned in the comments. And I realized, okay, this is a married man. And I have a philosophy for my life. I don't hang out with married men one-on-one. I simply don't. Even if it's platonic, I just don't do it. Okay, but here's where it gets a little weird. I started seeing his name everywhere. And maybe not the same frequency that I did with my twin flame, but I would see his first name and his last name. And I went down a rabbit hole, and I put a lot of time just finding out about him because I want to make sure I wasn't in any danger. And I'm sure that I wasn't, but you can never be too careful. And I started seeing repeated numbers around his name. There were some repeated numbers that I saw in my twin flames world, like maybe his address or his zip code or something like that. And I would get very excited seeing it in my twin flame. But then I saw the same numbers in this person, and it didn't excite me. And I had to realize that the repeating numbers could have different meanings. Yeah, my desire to see him or connect with him was simply non-existent, and I had to honor that. So I also had to put myself in my twin flame's shoes. I had reached out to my twin flame a couple times, and he was pleasant. Don't get me wrong. He was always happy to hear from me, but he didn't ask me one question about my life. There was nothing in the way that he responded that made it seem like he wanted to keep the conversation going. So I always made it very brief. And he has never reached out to me since all my paranormal experiences started a couple of years ago. So, my dear nieces and my dear nephews, as long as we love to hang on to the possibility of a twin flame reunion, and I always do think it is a possibility, because I think it's a good thing to keep an open mind. I think it's equally wise to be open to the possibility that maybe this is completely a solo journey, and maybe your twin flame is just there to kick it off. Maybe the reason why the masculines are not reaching out, it's not because we're not aligned or we're not vibing high enough or we're not in soul, as some of the experts like to say. It could just be that they're not interested and they are not on this journey with us. Now, could we maybe have a chance meeting a few years from now? Absolutely. But perhaps right now in the 3D, they're just not thinking of us. And I've been on each side of it. Also, I feel a little sensitive to the quote unquote divine masculines that might be in a twin flame counterpart situation where their twin flame is on YouTube telling a million stories about them, and this person has moved on from their lives. So I don't know. It's just something to think about. And I think that's